Beals here with no nonsense, cause you can't make sense if you don't make sense. A pod with freestyle discussion, poetry and social deconstruction.
Good morning, podcasters! Welcome to the No Nonsense Podcast on Friday, November the 14th. You're listening to the celebratory 20th anniversary of the No Nonsense Podcast with your host, Big Burn, and your host, Beals. Today we're going to start you off a little differently. We're going to start off with a poem. Oh man, you've got all the glory, you've got all the fame. Tomorrow's going to be that big old game. But we got to wonder about those who are dead because of head trauma they've had with their head. That's right, folks. We're talking about football-induced injuries. And these football-induced injuries are one of the byproducts of what America's been going through recently, and seeing the game of football been taking a bit of a safer route, I would say. Right. So, that being said, do you think, Burn, that football's been dropping down a little bit too safe, taken away from the game itself?
I don't think it's reached that point yet there, Beals, but I'm afraid that one day it might. And, you know, with people like LeBron James coming out recently saying that he does not allow his two sons to play football, it's kind of scary because a national prominent athlete like that saying that is just indicative of what the overall mentality might be going forward in the,
right.
the research that concussions there is out there in these days, and it scares me.
And so do you think that this is more a byproduct of the opinion of not just other athletes, but do you think, this is just a thing about LeBron James' googly apparatus that's not functioning as it should?
Well, here's what I'm going to say about this, Bill. I think that Chrissy Wojciech is going to be the leader in making sure football is still around in this country. And basically what's going to happen is we're going to start saying, hey, your lives are not valuable and you can just go ahead and die for the sake of our entertainment. Be, kind of going back, to the Roman times, where it's going to be actually going to go the reverse opposite direction, where you're going to see a lot of bloodshed and actually flat out murder out there in the field.
So you want to take a little bit more of a violent approach?
I want to go the opposite direction. I don't want to pussify the game so badly that it's barely resemble. I want it to be flat out blood murder, and then also, you can mix that. You can go ahead and push that upward with any push-up bra out there on the market.
So you're telling me even though that the average player's myelin oligodendrocyte glycoprotein has been seeing a substantial amount of abuse, thus resulting in a very ill-produced myelin sheath, which could cause multiple sclerosis, this problem is not going to be an issue when the new football regime unleashes?
If we go the opposite, the violent
correct.
Like I'm saying?
And we can call this the Roman reign.
Here's what I think, right? So right now, people are suffering from depression because they get their noggin so fucking banged up, in their 50s or whatever. Right. But if we allow flat-out murder on the field, they're not going to be suffering those effects later. They'll just be able to die in their prime. And it will be pretty dramatic and harken back to the Roman times.
Would you say that has something to do with the Allin Equation?
Yeah, if you've ever seen the talk show interview with Allin, he's a very enlightening individual, and he argued that he's gone out in his prime, and I could definitely see that is a man at the peak of his powers, and I don't know why you wouldn't want to go out like Gigi.
Absolutely, Bill. And now for a quick news break.
This just breaking. An octocorn equipped with a nuclear microwave has swooped down into the rural landscape of the Peloponnese harbor. Any subsisting life forms capable of producing an infinitesimal amount of diodes must vacate the premise at the behest of the remaining Afro-Trinidadian and Tobagonians. Any systemic deterioration can be directly linked to the collaboration between the Unabomber's cabin and the Grover Cleveland administration. Any pixelated pictures of endoplasmic reticulums not up to code must be left off any proposed political bill laden with raisins and Robitussin. Further action is pending until an investigation into the upright cruise ships and downtrodden southern Alabama canine units reveal the true Hollywood story.
Oh wow, that was a very insightful news report. I see how that's going to change things from now on. Now, Burn, I gotta ask you, with the violence that we're seeing in football and with the new Roman reign that you're going to talk about that will solve all the violence, what about other sports out there that are seeing a rise in concussions, like tennis, golf, water skiing?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we can go ahead and move everything to Bloodsport.
So you're saying to get rid of all other sports and just have the one Roman reign football based upon the Allin Equation?
Roman was an awesome empire, was it not?
I say it was. It's built in one solid day.
Yep, I never heard of any expression saying otherwise.
So with the advent of one solid new sport for the whole world, I gotta ask you one thing. How many teams will be in New York?
They're actually going to be removing all teams from New York because New York is going to be supplying all mortified-based subprime mortgage Westlake A-Squared hardware loans. And we're going to be seeing these Jeeps delivering all cash-based packages in any money laundering scheme that you can afford from your grandmother, passed down through an ancient generation from the Aztecs, building any pyramids that you want at discounted rates with any grass ceiling that you can have, and then build it back into the sport that we see here today, Bill. And I think that's what's going to dictate the discourse in this country.
I think that you are right on target there. One other topic I wanted to touch about this new blood sport is ageism and how people above the age of 65 we just don't see them very often in the NFL. And I think it's kind of a ageist thing to do, and I think that with the advent of the new blood sport, we can change that rule to involve people of all ages, all sizes, but of course, not all races.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I personally think that you should have no age limit. From the second you're born till the day you die, you should be able to play in the NFL. And I mean, if I see babies and old geezers out there, then it's more embracing. And I don't want to see any ageism or any kind of isms out there in the field. And I got one more question for you, Beals. If they're able, do you think that if they increase the intelligence of the average ape with these new genetic drugs, do you think that we should allow apes to play? And then also, I mean, we could be seeing some ape on elderly man action on the football field. Do you think this is progressive? And do you think that this is the dose of hot flair that the league needs in order to stay vital in the blood sport economy?
You know, Burn, I think I have been seeing from the panel that we are seeing that more people are practicing with apes currently in the NFL. We can see that in the Detroit Lions and also in the Patrick Niners. And those teams both have a full lineup of various different types of hominids, including the once extinct Homo erectus. So with this in mind, we'd like to have Big Burn leave us with a beautiful, lifelong poem. Burn, take it away.
All right, no problem there, Beals. No ageism or leaving animals out of the NFL. In fact, who needs a football when you could just have the apes throw the old people in the air? We'll have apes throwing them through. I realize this poem doesn't rhyme, but it doesn't matter when you're on time. The new Bloodsport NFL will see an increase in apes throwing elderly, and no matter what, I'll be there with a can of Patrick Beverly.
Thank you, Big Burn. That was a wonderful poem, and this is the 20th podcast signing off.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Hope you got some insight and a few laughs. That's all for now, folks. Yes, goodbye. Till next time, as long as we don't die.